Bitcoin does not reward emotion. It rewards patience, structure, and respect for data. Remaining grounded is essential because price is never obligated to follow narratives we're seeing now. Our technical approach exists to remove bias, not to chase certainty. Every projection we make, every level and time frame is derived strictly from what the market has already revealed to us, not what we hope it will do next. Discipline matters, my friends, more than direction. The data provides context, structure provides boundaries, and time confirms or invalidates every thesis that we're seeing now among many participants. By staying anchored to measurable information, rather perhaps than noise, we allow Bitcoin to speak for itself and let the chart do the work. Welcome aboard, everyone, to another session of charting across the board. This is Marv 6, your host. On today's session, we'll navigate what's next. What's the next phase after a major parabolic rise on the macro? We navigated this idea 4 years ago. When parabolic rises are broken, they present severe declines. If you guys remember, we did this in the previous room. We give a lecture on parabolic rises. What's a parabola? In mathematics, it's a curve on a plane that resembles pretty much the shape of a U formation. When the curve line is broken, they present severe declines. So far, we have experienced a 40% decline from the highs at 126 to current levels at the lows, new lows across the board, at least on Bitcoin, at 73,000. As we normally mention, in order to understand the future, it's important to understand the past. Why do I keep repeating this over and over? Why? Because there are levels by levels, also another phrase that I continue to repeat tirelessly. Going back into June, how did we get here, my friends? Remember, context matters, okay? Early stages of parabolic rises begin at the lows, at the accumulation range, pretty much at the bottom. June 2021, an early identification structure for a name formation corresponding to one of the most legendary patterns out there, the Garley pattern. Of course, we're just when there is no information provided. From June 2021, this important part of the cycle, okay? It will be 5 years in June. Time really flies. June 2021, early identification structure potentially for an information. When we reach the all-time highs from June 2021 to November of that year, I have anchored the C point slightly higher, adjusted, new data set presented itself. Therefore, the projection was adjusted. However, the ultimate target at 16,000 was always there. Why I'm bringing this pattern or this chart in context? Only for you guys to understand that parabolic rises matter at the beginning, not after 700% move that many are trying to portray that we're still within the parabola. We can. There might be adjusted levels and we can continue farther and turn into a hyperbola. So far, parabolic rises, the curve line has been broken. And where do we go next? We went from the highs to the projection, 16,000, we went to 15,000. This is a chart speaking for itself. This is not me coming here with narrative, pretending to know what Bitcoin will do next. I always mention, I do not know. Nobody does. We make projections and then we try to capitalize on the opportunities that the market presents to us. October or November of 2022. From the peak to the lows, indeed, it took a year for a major decline. Remember, started in June, the projection, the first upward traction, correction into a June or July, an upward move into the 60s. 61,000 was the previous high. We went slightly higher to 69. From there, same correction, same decline into our projected levels. From here on, was important to identify early identification structure for parabolic rises. October 3rd, 2022, after reaching the completion point, okay? These are steps by steps to what may come next, okay? Again, we are letting the chart speak for itself. We're not bringing narrative. These are facts, data sets, harmonic ratios, based on the ratios or based on the research from the titans of the past. The guys in the thumbnail are providing key data sets. I'm going to leave that as homework for those who are looking at the patterns that may present itself. The guy on the left is Jesse Livermore. The guy in the middle, myself, Marob 6. The guy to my right, Harold M. Garley. These two gentlemen are key within the data sets that may develop next. Okay, I give you a hint from what I'm looking. Again, everybody's coming after the narrative. We did before a projection, and now parabolic rise. The curve line mentioned we achieve the projected levels into the 80s. Of course, key psychological level was 100,000. We exceeded those levels into the upper 120s. Nevertheless, this was the momentum for an asset such as Bitcoin that drives momentum, of course, exceeding those projections. However, once the same curve line, okay, from 2022, the projection now is broken, my friends. So where do we go next? There were key levels that we were monitoring in July for divergence. The contracting variables disagreeing with the price action heading higher. The momentum was pointing troublesome. There was some key levels to monitor, unlike others projecting 200,000, 300,000, and so on. As I always mention, mother market will always present itself, teaching one of the most expensive lessons. We can observe this occurring now with Bitmine paying over 9,000 in pain, or $9 billion underwater within the current portfolio. This, my friends, is an expensive lesson. Same for strategy being underwater a couple of 100 millions. Ouch. Where do we go next? After reaching the potential top identified around July 2025, you guys are already familiar with this chart. It's all over our Discord, on X as well, presented as the next phase. However, this is only the first step of what may come next, okay? I'm not suggesting this will be the bottom, but rather another key important data set once we reach those levels. Here, we can observe the curve line from the projection in 2022, October 2022, was now broken, clearly. A 40% decline occurred, and now where do we go from here? Once again, after identifying the peak around July, a projection was made since then that a decline into the 60s or potentially the mid 50s, 57,500 or 5,700, 700 may be a potential level for the next decline. And you guys can observe that we are now reaching or neighboring those levels as of today, February the 3rd. That also brings another key intersection between price and time that was expected for today. The next one continues to be for March, my friends. March and April the 6th, to be specific. We also make a projection as to when the next major bottom will occur. We presented that will be around October 2027, and October of this year, 2026, as well as October 2027 or the early part of 2027. Can that be the case? We did the stream, we presented those arguments in July of last year. And here we are. Many narratives are broken. However, the price action on Bitcoin is telling us that something larger of a bigger magnitude may be under development. You guys can observe, once again, all of this was a projection for my own work, my own journey across the market, and trying to portray the same arguments to everyone who wants to listen. To those who wants to listen to narratives rather than data sets presented in the chart, my friend, I do not know what to tell you. The chart is here. It's been here, following all these harmonic ratios, cyclical rhythm, and now we are neighboring the next phase for this decline. What occurred here? Once and if occur here, or here, my friend, there can be reflexive rallies, okay? There's another pending formation already mapped out within my research that I will present to our room, okay? And if you want to know where can we go next, please pay attention to those levels, the 0.786 and the 0.886. Also, keep in mind that these levels are only based from the previous X point from August of 2024, the previous low at 49,000. From there on, we compute those harmonic ratios. Once again, once we reach, and if we reach those levels, reflexive rallies can occur. Looking left, market leaf clues, my friends. Pretty much, we can observe a congested level from where the majority of transactions occur, okay, within this range. That was also the jumping across the creek for many of those who were following our previous reading. Now, I want to be specific, my friend, based on the narrative going on the space. Listen to the chart, do your own research, and follow your edge. Respect your reading. Trading, I mentioned before, is a completely different discipline than analysis. Trading without analysis cannot work. Combining the two gives you an edge. Everyone, my voice is running out. I'm going to leave you with this. If you want to learn more about what we do for an unbiased approach, you can always visit marbob6.com. You don't have to join, but if you want to follow an unbiased technical approach objectively, you can always join us. I'll see you guys on the next one. We are achieving, neighboring the 0.786 around 64,000, 65. Reflexive rally may occur. I'm not suggesting these levels will be the bottom, but rather another major data set for something larger of a bigger magnitude that is occurring on the macro. I'll see you guys on the next one. And remember to always live a life with an attitude of gratitude. And remember to stay grounded. I'll see you guys on the next one. Cheers.
Good morning, eyes open, I can see the light shining through. Good morning, blinds open, I'm coming home to you. Good morning, eyes open, I can see the light shining through. Good morning, blinds open, I'm coming home to you. Eyes open. Good evening, eyes closing. We can see the stars shining through. Good evening, blinds closing. It's just me and you.